Okay. So what are these coordinates? Sydney? Negative 3, 1. So if you want to rotate it 90 degrees of x, y, that means we switch them, take the opposite of the first. So that means you're going to switch these ordered pairs, these 1, negative 3, and then we take the opposite of the first. So 90-degree rotation would be negative 1, negative 3. That is P prime. If you want to do 180, the rule says negative x, negative y. That's opposite of x, opposite of y. So opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. Notice there's no switch. Opposite of 1 is negative 1. So if I go over 3 and down 1, this is P double prime. That's a 180-degree rotation. Does it look like it? Does that look like a 180-degree rotation? If I'm here, would I rotate 180 degrees? All right, so now if I want 270, what's the rule for 270? 270 says you switch them, but now we take the opposite of x. So for this one, I'm going to switch them, 1, negative 3, and we take the opposite of x. So now I'm going to do over 1, up 3. So this is P triple prime. So in order to go from, here to there, I rotated 220 degrees. All right, so now we're going to do 360. What do we know about 360? If I go 360 degrees, where will I be? Negative, where we started, negative 3, 1. All right, what if I want to rotate a negative 90? Okay, and I'm not writing this well. Again, these are subscripts. So this is rotate a negative 90 about the origin of point P. So this is the same thing as a rotation of what? 270. So if you can make that, this translation or this switch, then that means we take our x's and y's and we switch them. And 270 that's going to be negative. So that's going to be, we put the y first, x second, put the opposite of x. So if I want a rotation of a negative 270 about the origin of point P, then what is that the same as? Positive 90. So what do we do for a positive 90? We switch the x's and the y's, and we take the opposite of which one? The first one. All right. So now we should be able to rotate this 90 degrees. The way you're going to rotate this 90 degrees is you're going to find the coordinates of H, the coordinates of M, the coordinates of L, the coordinates of K, and the coordinates of J. So what are the coordinates of H, Eric? Negative, right? Okay, what are the coordinates of M, Tommy? 0, 0. What are the coordinates of L? Brittany? All right. Kayla, what's the coordinates of K?
-1, 6.
And Karen, what are the coordinates of J? Negative 3. 4? Okay. So for a 90-degree rotation, Devin, what's the rule?
You have to flip the second one.
Flip them, so it should be y, comma, x, and then what? The opposite of the first. So this is going, so you're going to do 1. So this is going to be H prime. It's going to be, you flip them, 1 through negative 3, and then you take the opposite of this one. Or negative 1, negative 3. Okay, so Caitlin, what happens with 0, 0? Right. Because you switch them and then you take the opposite and it still looks the same. McKenna, this actually put me close. This is L prime.
-3.
Excellent. Let's go with Leslie, K prime. Yes. And then J, 3. I should say J prime. Switch them. -3. Switch them as they are. And now for a 90, the first one turns opposite. Only the first one turns opposite. So it's opposite of a positive. A negative. Now if it were 270, the first one would turn opposite, the second one. Now all you've got to do you like this better than what you did last night? Would you rather do transformations on the coordinate plane than... We don't change the last one, no, we only take the opposite of the first, 490. Now if it were 180, I do opposite of both, but without a switch. Okay. So now we're going to plot those. -1, -3, 0, so, and label them. I need them labeled so I know what's going on. That's M and M prime. Then we do -3, 1, 2, 3, and up to, this is L prime. And then we do -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going down 1. That's K prime. And now we want to go -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that is J prime. And so now we should be able to connect our dots. And we should have that figure that has been rotated 90 degrees. 90. About the origin.
Right there and I'm sick. On the playground. But in compiled it says each day and each time. Which is the beginning of the compiled. Well, it says H, J, K, L, M, and then on the side of the paper, H, M, L, K, J.
Oh, I don't know.
I just wanted
I probably should have done it, yeah. I think I was looking at my figure going around like this. That's what I was doing. I didn't even look at that. All right, was that hard? So this H has moved 90 degrees. This J has moved 90 degrees. This K has moved 90 degrees. This L has moved 90 degrees. All right, now we want to do 270. Do you want me to go in the order of what this says? Yeah. Do you want me to go in order this time with this? Is this doable if you don't know the rule? You gotta study the rules. You gotta know the rules. Okay, so we've got H, we've got J, K, L, and M. And our H was -3, +1. Our J was -3, +4. You know if I'm wrong. K was -1, 6, I believe. L was 3, and M was 0, 0. All right, so question, what is the rule for 270 positive? You're going to switch them. You're going to switch them, and who is the opposite? X. All right, so let's see. Hope, I need you to take this.
-1, -3.
Okay, we're going to switch them as they appear, but the only opposite is which one?
Oh.
Yeah. All right, J prime, Nick.
Stay the same.
You're going to switch them.
Oh, yeah, we're switch up backwards. You're still gonna have +4, but you're gonna have +15.
So we switched them, saw this was negative, knew this one turned opposite. Becky, you're going to do K. Excellent. All right. Travis, L. All right. Let's see. Jeff, you got M. That's a fun one, isn't it? So here's M and M prime. So now we have 1, 2, 3. This is H prime. Label your vertices. J is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That is my J prime. K is going to be 6, up 1. There's K prime. We've got L prime, which is 1, 2, 3, down 2. That is L prime. All right, so now we can go ahead and connect all the primes. So this is a 270-degree rotation about the origin. And I think you're more likely to have this on your EOC than the actual other one. So this is on Wednesday. Now I didn't really ask you to do the rotation. I'm asking you for the rules. Because if you don't know these rules, can you do the rotation? If you don't know these rules, you can't do the rotation. So Wednesday, you have one actual rotation, which is like last night's homework. But I'll make it a second. Only 2 times, not 1. It's gonna be these 4 plus these 2. Where I give you the left, you give me the right. Okay? And then I will ask you to do one actual rotation. So from your homework, give me one that I need to do that's an actual rotation. That was a rotation on the coordinate plane. But last night you did not have a coordinate plane on some of your problems. What the rules again? Now those, that was probably a coordinate plane. But I'm talking about like these. Like something like 1 or 9 or 10 or 43 or 13 or 14. Which one do you want me to do? 13. Okay. Did you get him, Carmen? All right. I need you to have equipment so you can do this as I do this. And we're going to talk about what is a positive rotation and what is a negative rotation. We really need to pay attention to that. And I don't think I emphasize that enough. So if you do not have equipment, get some. Did you get it, Carmen? Okay. Breathe. It was just a segment. Okay, so I have a segment, and is the point on the segment or is it off the segment? This is 13. It is on the segment. Is it like an endpoint or?
It says that is J, K.
Okay, is it a midpoint or is it just on there?
I think it's in the
All right. What kind of rotation am I supposed to do? A 180? About P, correct? Of segment JK. All right. So I'm going to work on J first. All right. My goal is J. So how do you always begin? You start on the center of rotation and you take a line through the point that I'm going to translate or rotate. So I'm rotating J, which is right here. And here's K. So now we're going to take our protractors, and we have to decide, it was a positive, or did I ask you to do a negative? All right. So here's my protractor. I think I can make this. What did that happen? Alright, I had made it smaller. There we go. Alright, so the question is, if I put my protractor here, and I were to measure, if I'm measuring from here, is that clockwise or counterclockwise? And the clockwise is negative. We want to go a positive 180, which means I need to put my protractor here. So now if I start here, am I going clockwise or counterclockwise? As I go rotate. Counterclockwise, which is a positive. So I need to come over here, and do you agree that over here is 180? All right, so now I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to take my compass, if I can find it. All right, so here's my compass. I'm going to put my compass point is always on the center of rotation. Okay, always on the center of rotation. Now I need to measure this segment from the center of rotation to J. You see that? And now I need to rotate it over here because this is where my 180 was, and I'm going to make it hard. What this tells me is it tells me that this right here is J prime. Maybe I'll make it blue. That's J prime. Now I have to do the same thing for K. So I'm going to use a different line. So from the center of rotation through that point, I have to rotate 180 degrees. My protractor always is on the center of rotation. So from here I have to go 180 degrees. If I go this way, am I going clockwise or counterclockwise? Clockwise. That is a negative rotation, which means I'll go, okay, I've got to turn my protractor this way. Now, am I going clockwise or counterclockwise? Counterclockwise, which means it's a positive rotation. So over here, I would mark my 180 degrees, and then from here, I take my compass, and I put it on the center of rotation. I open it up so that it is on K, which is right below. K is right there, so I made it hot right there. So now I'm going to swing this so I intersect over on this side, and that is my K prime. Right here is K prime. So my segment, this is J prime. Oh, what am I going to use? Let's see what colors I've got. Maybe I'll see blue. Maybe I'll do red. So I go from here all the way over to my J prime, which is there. That is this segment rotated. It's kind of hard to see because it falls on itself. Right, let's do another one. Can we do one where P's not on the figure? That's rotated. What's another one you want to do? Okay, what 10 say? What's a figure on 10? A rectangle? All right, let's get a rectangle. And the rectangle is kind of vertical. This is like the rectangle.
Yeah.
And where is P? P's inside? So here's P. What were the vertices? R. P's. Oh, look at that. Rect for rectangle. All right, so how do we begin? You start from the center and do what? Go through a point we need to rotate. Now, did I ask you to do a negative rotation or a positive? Okay, so we're going to do a negative, meaning what direction do we need to go? We need to go clockwise. And is this a 90 degree? So it's a 90 degree rotation. All right, clockwise. So always start your protractor on the center of rotation. I need to move this up. So that's on the center. All right, now, if I were to go 90 degrees, am I going clockwise or counterclockwise? Is that against the clock or with the clock? I'm going with the clock. With the clock is negative. So here is 90. So I make a 90-degree mark. I move my protractor, and I draw a segment from my center through that point. That is 90 degrees. Now, what do I do with my compass? So I'm going to move this. I put it where? Where's the point go? Center of rotation, not on the vertex of the rectangle. And now, where does this pencil point go? On E. So I'm going to take this down to E, and now where do I make my arc? Over here, correct? So what point is this? E what? This is E prime. All right, that is just one. I have to do this how many more times? All right, so I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to change its color so it's easier to see. All right, so from P, I'm going to go through C. Now I'm going to take my protractor and I'm going to put my center here. Now I have to think through this. I'm measuring from my dotted blue. Is this clockwise or counterclockwise? That is counterclockwise. That is a positive direction. I want to go negative, which means I did not put my protractor right. All right, so now am I going with the clock? Yes. This is 90. So I'm going to move this away, actually, and I'm going to get my straight edge. I think that's still blue. All right. And so from here I'm going to, okay. Right. So that is my 90, and now where do I put my compass point? On the center of rotation. I move this so it is on what? E. And then I'm going to swing it around to here. And what point is that? That is C prime. All right, what's next? What do you want to rotate next? T. So we'll use green. So from the center through T, I'm going to take my protractor, put it on the center of rotation, and ask myself, if I were to rotate this way, is that with the clock or against the clock? With this negative, that's what we want. So we got to get 290 right there. And now I need to got my line. And I want it to be green. So now from here through there, that should be perpendicular. You see the 90 in green? So now where does my compass point go? Where? Eric, where's my compass point go? On P. And then my pencil point is going to go on T. Is it there? So I'm going to come over here, maybe, yep. And I'm going to draw this arc. And what did I just locate? T prime. So this is T prime. What have I not done? Alright. Okay, what color do you want? This one. What color? Red? So from P through... I suggest you have colored pencils. It really does help. So now there's through R. I'm going to take my protractor. I'm going to put it here on the center of rotation. My question is, if I were to go this way, is that a positive or a negative angle? Well, I'm going with the clock, and with the clock is negative. Alright, there's 90. I'm going to take my line tool. I'm going to make it red. And I'm going to go from the center through there. Alright, now what do I do? done that, shouldn't it? Now what do we do? Where do I put my compass point? Hope.
On
On P. Where do I put my pencil point? On R. Alright, and then where do I want to make my arc? On the what color? The red line. So here's my arc, and what point is that? That is R prime. Now how do I finish my figure? I connect C prime to E prime to R prime to T prime to C prime. I'm gonna walk a little bit. But you got the idea. I think I messed up. I'm doing it. Any questions? Is that a mess? Alright. This is a weekend. If I gave you another day on this assignment, but you still have to do 832, would you come and vote and student class? Okay. Everybody? No? Alright. These are the first two assignments on the new 9-week period. We want to start out how? Good. We want to start out strong. I will try to remember to send you a Remind 101 reminder about your quiz on Tuesday. Let's make sure we know everything that's going to be on that quiz. Went over this yesterday, we'll do it again. What do you have to know? You have to know? Nick, what's one thing you have to know for quiz on Tuesday? It's all about reflections. That's Wednesday. Let's talk Tuesday's quiz. You have to reflect over an oblique line. Did you have a whole worksheet on this?
Yeah.
Did Becky give you back all your homework? Yes, you've got that to look at. What's another thing? Notation. I will give you a description of a reflection. It's all about reflections plus one translation. And you will write it using notation. I might do that on the rotation one too, using notation. All right, what's another one? Another one? You're going to do a horizontal or vertical reflection. That means you need to know x equals is a vertical line, y equals is a horizontal line. That you actually use for reflections for on graph paper. All right, two more. You're going to do a composition of translation. Composition. You had this on the last one. That's translations. So this is from the other source. That means T, and you have these little subscripts, composite T, where if this is the horizontal, this is 0, if this is the vertical, that's 0, you've got a number there. All right, last but not least, what do you have to write? So the whole worksheet all by itself, right? Equation of reflection line, midpoint, slope, perpendicular slope, using midpoint, perpendicular slope, use your point slope formulas. All right, on yesterday's notes, I think I did a little bit more detail about this quiz. So you've got the quiz on these notes, and you've got a description on the notes from before. So I expect to see those figures translated and translated well by Tuesday.